The Galactic Assembly Hall floated in the endless dark of space, a shining ring of light above a silver planet. Inside, the air was heavy with tension. More than 200 alien species filled the vast chamber, their voices echoing through the domed hall. Today they would decide the fate of a new world, a small blue planet called Earth. At the center stood Commander Vexthal, a tall reptilian warrior from the Draconian Empire. His scales shimmered under the lights, dark and cold. He stepped forward, claws clicking against the metal floor. Esteemed members of the assembly, his deep voice began, calm yet sharp. We have studied this planet for 20 cycles. What we found is disturbing. Behind him, a large screen came to life, flashing images from Earth. Explosions. Wars. Soldiers marching. Cities burning. Human faces twisted in anger and fear. These creatures call themselves humans, Vexthal said. They fight their own kind without mercy. They build weapons that could destroy worlds. Even now they send machines into space, seeking more to conquer. A wave of whispers filled the chamber. Some species looked uneasy, others curious. Then Ambassador Lumera, a graceful blue being from the peaceful Lumrian race, rose slowly. Her 4 hands folded before her. "Commander," she said softly, "have they attacked anyone beyond their planet? Have they shown aggression toward us?" Vexthal's yellow eyes narrowed. "Not yet," he hissed. "But must we wait until they do? Must we give them time to reach us with their violence?" He turned back to the screen showing nuclear blasts and burning cities. "This is what they do to each other. Imagine what they will do to us." Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. One delegate whispered, "A species like that cannot be allowed to grow." Another muttered, "Better to enslave them before they rise." Ambassador Lumera tried again, her voice trembling. "Violence does not always define a people. Some of their art, their music." But Vexthal cut her off. "Their art is destruction. Their music is war." He raised his clawed hand. "I propose we act now, for the safety of the galaxy. We will control them, use their labor, use their planet, and ensure they never threaten peace again." The chamber erupted in sound. Some shouted in agreement, others in fear. The great hall buzzed with argument, translation devices humming in hundreds of languages. High above the hall, in a small observation cell aboard a Draconian ship, 2 humans watched the chaos on a tiny screen. Greg Harper, an engineer with short brown hair and tired eyes, leaned closer. "This is bad," he whispered. "Really bad." Beside him paced Captain Lisa Winters, her blonde hair tied back tightly. "They're voting on our world," she said. "And we can't even speak." "They don't see us as people," Greg muttered. "Just a problem to solve." Back in the assembly, the vote began. One by one, the species declared their decisions. The Draconian Empire, Enslave. The Proxima Coalition, Enslave. The Oran Confederation, Enslave. The voices went on, a cold rhythm of judgment. Only the Lumrians abstained, their blue faces dim with sorrow. Finally, the assembly leader spoke. "The motion passes with only one abstention. Earth will be classified as a threat to galactic security. An invasion fleet will depart within 10 cycles." Cheers filled the hall. The galaxy had spoken. Earth's freedom was gone. In the small prison cell, silence fell. Greg's fists trembled. He slammed one against the wall. "We need to warn Earth," he said. Lisa turned sharply. "How?" "We're locked in a ship light years away." Greg hesitated, then knelt down and pulled a small metal device from his boot, a rough tool made of stolen parts. "I've been building this," he said. "A transmitter. It might send a signal through their communication array." Lisa stared at him. "You're insane." "Maybe," he said, "but it's our only chance." They waited for the guard to pass, then quickly opened a panel on the wall. Greg worked fast, his hands shaking. Sparks flashed as he connected the last wire. The door slid open with a hiss. "Go," Lisa said. They ran through narrow corridors, hiding behind crates and pipes, hearts pounding. The ship was alive with laughter, the crew still celebrating the vote. They slipped into the communication room unnoticed. Screens flickered with alien text. Greg plugged in the transmitter. "Hold the door," he whispered. Lisa stood ready, her eyes on the hallway. Come on," Greg muttered as he worked. Then the screen flashed green. "Sending now." The message was short, desperate. "Invasion coming. All species voted. Prepare." The signal transmitted, a tiny burst of human defiance in a sea of alien stars. But before they could breathe, alarms blared across the ship. Red lights flashed. A metallic voice shouted, "Security breach detected." Heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. Greg looked at Lisa. She met his gaze, calm, determined. "At least they'll know," she said. The door burst open. Armed guards stormed in. The humans stood their ground, side by side. And far below, across the stars, their message reached Earth. A faint signal. A warning. But by the time it arrived, it was already too late. The signal arrived in the middle of the night. A single transmission, broken, filled with static, but clear enough to chill every heart that heard it. Invasion coming. All species voted. Prepare. Within hours, every major nation on Earth had received the same message. At first, they thought it was a hoax. But when the telescopes confirmed dozens of massive unknown ships entering the solar system, the truth became impossible to deny. Humanity wasn't alone. And they were coming. The world fell into chaos. Governments scrambled. Militaries mobilized. People flooded the streets, some praying, others rioting. The United Nations called an emergency meeting, but there was no time for speeches or debates. In Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and New Delhi, leaders made a choice never seen before in human history. For the first time, the nations of Earth united. They called it the Earth Defense Alliance. Old enemies stood side by side. Every scientist, engineer, and soldier was ordered to focus on one goal: survive. From secret bunkers they worked day and night. Satellites were reprogrammed into orbital weapons. Old nuclear warheads were redesigned to pierce shields. Laser arrays, railguns, and plasma prototypes, everything once thought impossible, now became real. Dr. Sato, an engineer in Japan, whispered as she watched her team install the final components. "We may not win," she said, "but they will remember that humans fought." Across the ocean, Commander Reyes stood aboard the newly built defense station Horizon, orbiting above Earth. He looked down at the blue planet below, his home. "If this is our end," he said, "then we go down fighting." 10 days after the warning, they arrived. The alien fleet appeared suddenly in the night sky, huge black ships each 1 mile long blocking out the stars. They came in silence, descending like a storm. The first beam of light struck over the Pacific, a burning white line that vaporized an entire naval fleet in seconds. Cities panicked. Sirens screamed across continents. The invasion had begun. Humanity answered with everything they had. Dozens of defense satellites locked onto the enemy. "Targets acquired," said a calm robotic voice. "Then fire." A rain of missiles and plasma bolts filled the upper atmosphere. Explosions painted the sky. For a moment it looked like fireworks, beautiful and deadly. 2 alien ships fell, burning as they crashed into the ocean. The world cheered. But the celebration didn't last. For every alien ship destroyed, 5 more appeared. Their shields adapted. Their weapons changed. Massive energy blasts cut through the clouds, destroying entire cities in seconds. In London, Paris, and New York, skyscrapers turned to fire. Millions died in the first hours. On a secret base in the Arctic, Captain Lisa Winters watched the chaos through satellite feeds. Her eyes were red but unbroken. She had survived capture. She had made it back. Greg Harper stood beside her, checking systems. "We knew it was coming," he said quietly. "But not this fast." Lisa looked at him. "Then we don't wait. We fight." The underground base roared to life. Jets launching, weapons loading, soldiers shouting. They had spent months preparing since their escape. This was their moment. The aliens landed on every continent. Towering war machines marched through cities. Drones scanned the skies. Humans were dragged from shelters and camps. But still, resistance grew. In one burning city, a small group of soldiers ambushed an alien patrol. They used simple tricks: mirrors, decoys, homemade EMPs. When the smoke cleared, the aliens were gone, and the human flag still waved. In space, Commander Reyes led a desperate counterattack with the last orbital fleet. "Fire at will," he shouted. Dozens of human ships launched toward the enemy, outnumbered 100 to 1. For a moment, the sky burned with human courage. The aliens didn't understand. They had seen species surrender before, weak, fearful, begging for mercy. But humans were different. Even when surrounded, even when cities turned to ash, they kept fighting. One alien officer asked his commander, "Why do they resist? The outcome is decided." And the commander replied, "Because they are human." As the days turned to weeks, Earth became a battlefield. Oceans boiled, skies blackened, and continents cracked under the fire. But something unexpected began to happen. Human scientists studying captured alien wreckage discovered weaknesses, Energy fluctuations, signal interference, armor blind spots. They started adapting, fast. Weapons improved daily. Tactics evolved overnight. The aliens had advanced technology. But humanity had something greater, the will to survive. Lisa Winters stood before her troops in the underground base. Her voice was steady. They thought they could break us. They thought they could enslave us. But they don't understand what it means to be human. Greg activated the base comms. Across every surviving bunker, outpost, and camp, her message echoed. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. Earth stands. Humanity fights. Soldiers cheered. Pilots saluted. Scientists worked harder. For the first time since the invasion began, hope returned. In orbit, the alien commander watched the resistance grow stronger. Reports came in, ambushes, sabotage, missing supply lines. He growled in frustration. They adapt too quickly. They learn too fast. He didn't realize it yet, but the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. The humans they sought to enslave were now becoming something else. Something far more dangerous. The war was over. Earth had fallen. The skies were dark and silent now, filled only with the shadows of alien ships drifting above ruined cities. Oceans boiled with debris. Forests burned where once green life thrived. From orbit the planet looked the same, blue, beautiful, and alive. But below the clouds humanity was in chains. The Draconian Empire had taken control first. They brought huge floating towers to oversee every continent. These towers became command centers, places of fear and punishment. Aliens called them Order Spires. Humans called them the Chains. Every major city was rebuilt as a labor zone. Millions were forced to mine, build, and serve. The invaders said it was for peace and balance. But everyone knew what it really was: enslavement. At dawn, lines of tired humans marched under the silver light of alien drones. Children carried metal scraps. Adults pushed machines they didn't understand. Soldiers guarded them, emotionless behind glass helmets. No one was allowed to speak loudly. No one was allowed to look at the stars. Because the stars were where their freedom had died. In the cold ruins of London, Greg Harper worked as a mechanic under alien supervision. His hands were cut and bruised, his eyes hollow from weeks without rest. He fixed alien transports and power cells, learning every circuit, every pattern, every weakness. He never complained. He was waiting. Sometimes when the guards weren't looking, he'd glance at the sky and whisper, "Lisa, I hope you're still out there." Far across the ocean, Captain Lisa Winters was alive. She had been captured during one of the last battles, but she escaped with the help of a Lumrian scientist named Talon. The Lumrians had voted against enslaving Earth, and now they were secretly helping the survivors. Lisa lived underground in what was once a subway tunnel beneath New York. It was now part of the human resistance, a secret network growing in the shadows. Every night she met with small groups: engineers, farmers, soldiers, teachers. People who had lost everything but refused to kneel. Talon, the Lumrian, spoke softly as he looked over a broken alien power cell. "Your species learns fast," he said. "Faster than any I've seen." Lisa gave a faint smile. "That's because we don't have a choice." He looked at her, his large blue eyes full of worry. "If they find you, they will erase your cities completely. Then they'll have to catch us first," she said. Across the planet, whispers began to spread. Workers talked quietly in the camps. Rumors said someone was fighting back, destroying alien patrols, sabotaging their factories. The resistance had no name. But everyone who believed in freedom called it the light. One night, Greg received a strange coded signal through the maintenance terminal he worked on. It wasn't alien, it was human. A voice came through the static. "This is Captain Lisa Winters. To anyone still fighting, we are not alone." Greg froze. He recognized her voice instantly. His heart raced. Lisa was alive. He quickly looked around, then tapped a reply through the console. "This is Harper. I'm listening." For a moment only silence. Then her voice returned. "Harper, we're building something. A network. We can strike back. But we need your help." Greg smiled for the first time in months. "Tell me what to do." The next days passed quietly on the surface, but deep beneath the ground the resistance grew stronger. Lisa's team stole alien components from supply ships. Greg sabotaged power grids and smuggled parts to the underground tunnels. With Talon's help, they learned how to bypass alien encryption, how to turn their own machines against them. Every victory was small, but every spark mattered. Meanwhile, the Galactic Assembly watched from afar. Commander Vexthal received reports of human disturbances, Strange disappearances, damaged equipment, unexplained attacks. He slammed his clawed hand against the table. They are workers, not warriors, he roared. Why can't you control them? His advisor looked uneasy. Commander, humans don't think like other species. They don't surrender. Vexthal's eyes burned yellow. Then we will teach them surrender. Weeks later, the Draconians began purging suspected rebels. Entire labor camps were wiped out. Villages were burned. But with every human killed, 10 more took their place. In one destroyed city, alien soldiers found a message painted in ash on a broken wall. If they can bleed, they can die. Greg whispered those same words as he repaired an alien drone, secretly changing its code. When the guard came to check, the drone suddenly turned and fired on its own commander. Panic spread through the compound. Greg vanished in the confusion, taking stolen data with him. He reached the tunnels days later, exhausted but alive. Lisa greeted him with a hug, the first warmth he'd felt in months. What did you find? She asked. Greg placed a glowing data crystal on the table. The weakness, he said. I found their power source. Talon's eyes widened. You mean, you can destroy them? Greg nodded slowly. Not yet. But now we have a chance. That night, the resistance gathered in silence beneath the ruins. Old humans, young fighters, and even Lumrians stood together around a holographic table showing alien bases across Earth. Lisa looked at them, tired, scarred, but unbroken. This planet belongs to us, she said. They took our skies. They took our freedom. But they can't take our will. She placed her hand on the table. Tonight, humanity fights back. The room filled with quiet determination. No shouting, no cheering. Just steady eyes, filled with fury and hope. Because the galaxy had made a mistake. They thought enslaving humanity would bring peace. But in the darkness of Earth's chains, a rebellion was born. The world had changed. The once silent cities of Earth now whispered with rebellion. In the shadows of alien towers, humans moved like ghosts, unseen, unstoppable. The invaders ruled the skies, but the ground was no longer theirs. Humanity had begun to fight back. Under the ruins of New York, deep in the tunnels of the old subway, Captain Lisa Winters stood before a group of survivors. The walls were covered with old maps and glowing alien blueprints. She looked at each face, soldiers, scientists, farmers, children who had grown up during the occupation. Every one of them carried the same fire in their eyes. This is our planet, she said quietly. And they think we've forgotten how to fight. Let's remind them. The crowd nodded. There were no cheers. Only resolve. Greg Harper was beside her, hunched over a flickering hologram. It showed a massive alien supply depot on Mars, the heart of the invaders' logistics network. If we hit this, he said, pointing, their fleets lose fuel. Their shields drop. It's our chance. Lisa crossed her arms. How long until we're ready? 2 weeks, Greg replied. Maybe less. We've stolen enough ships to reach orbit, and Talon's tech will mask our signatures for a short time. Talon, the Lumrian scientist, looked up from his data pad. His blue skin glowed faintly under the dim lights. You won't get a second chance, he warned. If you fail, they will wipe Earth from existence. Lisa gave a faint, fearless smile. Then we don't fail. Over the next days, the resistance worked like a single living machine. Hidden workshops buzzed with stolen alien parts. Mechanics welded human metal to alien alloys. Scientists programmed hybrid drones that answered only to human voices. In Africa, miners built railguns from old train engines. In Asia, hackers turned alien satellites into eyes for the resistance. In South America, villagers hid pilots in forests and caves. Humanity, broken, scarred, and bleeding, had become something terrifying, united. When the night came, Lisa's small fleet launched from the shadows of Earth's dark side. Old human ships, patched with alien tech, rose silently into the stars. Their engines burned blue, leaving streaks of defiance across the void. Greg's voice came through the comms. All ships confirmed. Course locked to Mars. Lisa stared at the glowing red planet ahead. Let's show them what humans can do. Hours later, the fleet arrived near the alien depot orbiting Mars, a massive fortress of metal and light. Hundreds of Draconian ships guarded it, moving in tight formation. Greg whispered, "They won't expect humans out here." "Good," Lisa replied. "Let's surprise them." The first attack was silent. A stolen alien drone transmitted a false security code, letting the human ships drift close. Then the signal. Explosions lit the void. Railguns fired. Missiles streaked across the red horizon. Alien ships turned, confused, then panicked as one of their own stations exploded. The humans struck fast and vanished faster. Lisa's fleet tore through the depot's defenses like lightning. Alien fighters launched in waves, but the humans moved unpredictably, their tactics chaotic, human, creative. Greg shouted over the noise, "Shields failing on Sector 4. We need more power." Lisa gritted her teeth. "Divert from weapons. Keep us flying." A blast rocked the ship. Sparks filled the cabin. The hull groaned, but they didn't stop. Talon's calm voice came through the radio. "The reactor core is exposed. One more strike will destroy it." Lisa smiled. "Greg, you're up." He pressed a final command. A single missile shot from their ship, glowing brighter and brighter as it approached the target. Then, a blinding light. The alien depot exploded, its shockwave rolling through orbit. Flames scattered across space like falling stars. Lisa closed her eyes for a second, breathing hard. "It's done," she said softly. News of the attack spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Galactic Assembly was in chaos. Reports came from multiple systems: draconian losses, supply lines cut, missing fleets. Commander Vexthal slammed his fist against the table. "How can this be? They were slaves." An officer hesitated. "Not anymore, sir. They're learning." Vexthal glared. "Then we burned their world. Every last one." On Earth, celebrations echoed through the tunnels. For the first time in years, laughter returned. Humans cried and hugged. They had struck back and won. Lisa stood apart from the noise, staring at a map of the solar system. Greg walked up beside her. "You should celebrate too, Captain." She smiled faintly. "Later. This was one battle. The war's just starting." He nodded. "Then we better keep winning." Days turned into weeks. The rebellion spread beyond Earth. Humans captured alien ships and learned to fly them better than their creators. They built hidden bases on the Moon and Titan. Every night, they launched new attacks, striking from the shadows and vanishing again. To the rest of the galaxy, humans had become ghosts, unpredictable, ruthless, unstoppable. The aliens began to fear the dark. In one intercepted transmission, a draconian soldier whispered, "They don't fight like any species we've known. They fight like they want to die just to take us with them." His commander growled, "Then give them their death." But the human response came soon after, a hacked broadcast across the draconian network. "We don't die easily. And when we do, we make it count." The message spread across hundreds of systems before it was deleted. The galaxy began to realize what they had awakened. Months later, Lisa and Greg stood before a new holographic projection, the Galactic Assembly's central station itself. Greg looked at her. "You're not actually thinking of hitting them, are you?" Lisa's eyes burned with determination. "They enslaved our world. It's time they hear our voice." Talon looked worried. "That's suicide." Lisa shook her head. "No. That's justice." As the meeting ended, Greg looked out through the underground hangar's open hatch. The night sky above was filled with stars, cold, endless, beautiful. For centuries, humans had looked up at those same stars with wonder. Now they looked up with purpose. They were no longer slaves. No longer victims. No longer weak. They were the storm the galaxy had created, and soon that storm would come for everyone who had voted to enslave them. The galaxy burned. For months, reports came in from every corner of the stars, human fleets attacking supply convoys, colonies, and shipyards. No one knew where they came from. No one could stop them. They struck like ghosts, silent, precise, relentless. And wherever they went, fear followed. Inside the Galactic Assembly Hall, chaos reigned. The same chamber that once voted to enslave Earth was now filled with panic. Ambassadors shouted over one another, holograms flickering in the red emergency light. "The humans have taken Sigma Prime," one voice cried. "Our fleets can't even find them," another shouted. Commander Vexthal stood at the center, his scales reflecting the crimson light. "They are only one species," he roared. "One world. You let them terrify an entire galaxy." No one answered. Because they all knew the truth, humanity was no longer one world. They had spread to every outpost, every moon, every captured ship. They were everywhere. Far away, above the icy moon of Triton, Captain Lisa Winters stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, a human flagship built from the wreckage of 5 alien warships. Around her, the Resistance fleet floated in silence, hundreds of ships, some small and fast, others massive and scarred. Every one of them bore the same symbol, a burning Earth surrounded by stars. Greg Harper appeared beside her, data tablet in hand. The Draconian command world, Vorthal, is exposed, he said. They've pulled most of their fleets back to protect the assembly. This is our chance. Lisa nodded slowly. Then it ends tonight. Hours later, the human fleet jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into lines of light and then, silence. When they emerged, the sight before them was breathtaking. The planet Vorthal glowed like a jewel of fire, towers of black metal rising from its molten surface, thousands of warships orbiting it in tight formation. Greg whispered, "That's more ships than we've ever faced." Lisa's eyes stayed cold. "Then it's enough." The human fleet moved into attack position. Talon, their Lumrian ally, appeared on the comm screen. "I've uploaded the virus. Their shields will collapse in 3 minutes." Lisa nodded. "All units, prepare to strike." The countdown began. Every pilot, every soldier, every soul who had survived the occupation waited in silence. They remembered the years of pain, the broken families, the burning cities. Now they would return it, tenfold. 3, 2, 1. The virus hit. Across the Draconian defense grid, chaos erupted. Shields flickered. Weapons shut down. Entire ships lost power. Then came the first human volley, blinding beams of energy cutting through the darkness. Explosions ripped through the fleet. Alien commanders shouted in confusion, unable to fight back. The humans charged forward, a storm of steel and fire. Lisa's voice echoed through the comms. "For every life they took, make them remember who we are." Her ship, Valkyrie, led the assault. Greg's console flashed with dozens of enemy readings. "They're trying to reboot their defenses." Lisa pointed at the planet below. "Then we hit their command center. Direct strike." The Valkyrie dove through the wreckage of burning ships, weaving between explosions. Draconian fighters tried to intercept, but human drones tore them apart. Talon's calm voice broke through again. "Target locked." Lisa's hand hovered over the firing control. "This is for Earth," she whispered. She pressed the trigger. A beam of pure light shot from the Valkyrie's core cannon, cutting through the clouds and straight into the heart of the Draconian capital. Seconds later, the planet erupted. Flames burst through its crust. Mountains shattered. The sky turned white. The Draconian homeworld was gone. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then cheers erupted through the fleet. Greg leaned back, tears in his eyes. "We actually did it." Lisa didn't smile. She watched the burning remains of the world below. "This isn't victory," she said softly. "This is the price they made us pay." Back in the assembly hall, silence fell as the news arrived. Vexthal's image appeared on the main hologram, transmission from his flagship. His armor was cracked, his voice trembling with rage. "You think you can destroy us, humans? We will rebuild. We will." His words stopped. The feed cut to static. Moments later, his flagship exploded, destroyed by human strike ships. The assembly fell quiet. One by one, the delegates turned off their microphones. No one dared speak the truth out loud. The galaxy had lost. Weeks later, in orbit above Earth, the Valkyrie docked with the rebuilt space station New Hope. It was a symbol, a station built by humans alone, without alien hands, orbiting the planet they had once enslaved. Lisa looked down at the blue world below. Peaceful. Alive. Free. Greg joined her at the window. "The galaxy's scared of us now," he said. "They'll never try again." Lisa turned to him. "Good. But we can't become what they were. We rebuild, not to rule but to protect." He smiled. "So, what now, Captain?" She looked at the stars, countless points of light stretching into infinity. "Now," she said softly, "now we explore. But this time on our terms." In distant systems, alien worlds whispered the same name, humans. Some spoke it with fear, others with awe, and a few with hope. Because even in their vengeance, humans had shown mercy. Instead of wiping the galaxy clean, they offered peace, on one condition. Never again will anyone enslave another world. Months passed. The Galactic Assembly rebuilt, but under new laws, Earth laws. Human envoys sat at the council table, no longer as slaves but as equals. Lisa and Greg's names became legend, symbols of defiance and survival. Children across the stars learned their story. And somewhere beyond the known frontier, new human ships set sail into the void, carrying the flag of Earth and the promise of freedom. In the end, history would record the truth. The galaxy voted to enslave humanity. But in doing so, they created something they could never control. A species that learned faster, fought harder, and refused to kneel. A species that turned chains into weapons. A species that changed the stars forever. They feared humanity's potential, until it was too late. The galaxy was silent. Where there had once been endless war, fear, and chaos, now there was only peace. At least, for a while. After the fall of the invaders, humanity stood among the stars not as slaves, but as victors. The world that once trembled under alien boots now shone brighter than ever before. From the ashes of Earth's suffering, a new power rose. The Human Federation. The Federation wasn't built on conquest. It was built on unity. Nations that once hated each other now worked side by side. Engineers from Asia, pilots from America, scientists from Europe, soldiers from Africa. All part of one dream. Never again would Earth kneel to anyone. From their great capital in orbit above the moon, the New Geneva Station, humanity began to rebuild the galaxy itself. Massive ships carried aid to broken worlds. Colonies once enslaved by the Draconians were freed and fed. Even alien refugees, those who had once served under the invaders, found shelter under the Federation's flag. For the first time in galactic history, the humans brought peace. But not everyone welcomed it. In the shadows of distant stars, whispers grew. Old empires, humiliated and broken, watched Earth's rise with bitterness. They called humans the children of vengeance. To them, humanity was a storm, unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying. And perhaps they were right. Commander Lisa Winters, now the Supreme Admiral of the Federation fleet, stood in her command chamber aboard the flagship Valkyrie Prime. Outside the massive windows, 1,000 human ships floated, shining silver, their engines glowing blue. Greg Harper entered, older now but still sharp as ever. "They say peace has finally come," he said quietly. Lisa didn't turn. "Peace," she replied, "is just the pause between storms." Greg frowned. "You think they'll come again?" Lisa nodded. "Someone always does." Later that day, a meeting began on New Geneva. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, human and alien alike, filled the great circular hall. The holographic banner of the Federation floated above them. A burning Earth encircled by 13 silver stars. Lisa addressed them all. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of history. The galaxy once saw humanity as dangerous, violent, unstable. They were right. But they were wrong about what that means. We are dangerous because we fight for freedom. We are violent only when others force us to be. And we are unstable, because we never stop changing, never stop growing. Her words echoed across the chamber. Even the alien delegates, once enemies, listened in silence. "We do not seek to rule," she continued. "But if tyranny rises again, if any world tries to enslave another, humanity will be there." A quiet murmur filled the room. Not fear, respect. Outside, the Federation fleet began its next great mission, exploration. Hundreds of starships prepared to depart into uncharted space. Their hulls bore the same message in dozens of languages. For all worlds, for all people, for the future. Children watched from cities below, pointing at the streaks of light crossing the sky. They grew up not afraid of aliens, but proud to be human. But far beyond known space, in the dark edge of the galaxy, something ancient stirred. A massive derelict station, older than any known civilization, powered on for the first time in a million years. Lights flickered. Shadows moved. A signal pulsed across the stars, faint but growing. New life detected. Origin. Earth. No one knew what it meant. No one could trace it. But deep in her heart, Lisa felt it, a warning. The galaxy was not done testing humanity. Back on Earth, the planet had changed. The scars of war remained, but cities shone again, rebuilt stronger, smarter, cleaner. Oceans were healed. Forests returned. And above every capital stood tall the banners of the Federation. Schools taught not just human history, but galactic history. Children learned about the day every species voted to enslave Earth, and the day Earth made them all kneel. The lesson was simple. Never underestimate what stands together. On the 10th anniversary of the Federation's founding, a massive ceremony was held on the moon. The great hall was packed with billions watching from across the stars. Lisa Winters stood before the crowd, her voice broadcast to every world. "We once lived in chains. Now we live among the stars. Let the galaxy remember, not our vengeance but our mercy. We do not seek revenge. We seek balance." She raised her hand and the massive star map above her shifted. New unexplored regions lighting up one by one. "Out there lies the future," she said. "And it belongs to all of us." Thunderous applause echoed across the hall. The Valkyrie Prime rose once more, leading a new fleet into the unknown. In the control room, Greg smiled at Lisa. So this is it? No more wars. Lisa looked at the stars. There will always be wars, Greg. But now, we fight them together. He nodded slowly. Together. The ship's engines roared to life. Stars stretched into lines of light. The fleet vanished into hyperspace, humanity's next chapter beginning. Centuries later, historians across countless worlds would debate what made humanity so different. Some said it was their emotions, their ability to love and hate with equal fire. Others said it was their adaptability, their chaos. But one truth remained undeniable. The galaxy united once to enslave them. And in doing so, created their own saviors. Because from the fire of oppression came the light of freedom. And that light was human. They feared humanity's rise, but it was that fear that saved the stars.